Hello and welcome back to the port. I'm the Gav Major and this is Average Reports. Average Reports is your gameplay submissions with my commentary, and today we have a submission from YTBrandonABC. For the rest of the submission I'm going to call him Brandon, and he is playing in the Tier 3 German battleship Kaiser. Now this is a Tier 2 and 3 game of capture the base on ring, so yes, potentially seal clubbing, but then again we have whale hunting at Tier 7, and very much like I was saying the other day, sometimes you can actually have a more enjoyable game at the lower tiers in comparison to the upper tiers. It's very much reminiscent of the Admiralty Let's Play that I did last week, where we managed to wipe up the entire team within only a couple of minutes without any losses on our own team, I feel. So sometimes if you want a nice hard fought match, it doesn't really matter about the tier, it's just as long as it's a hard fought match. In this case, we do have a very nice game. Now, as always, down in the description will be the modules and the commander build used by the player. I will go over that during the average report though. And that just simply leaves for the game to be played. Enemy Kuma spotted. Talking about the enemy team, we do have a V25, a Campbelltown, a Wixes, a Clemson, a Bogatry, a Kuma, a Gisano, a Dene, and a Azuchi. I do apologise if I've got any of those names wrong. Basically, I don't usually pronounce the ships to the lower tiers that often, simply because I don't usually play down here that often. Maybe once or twice a week when I'm just getting my premium supply, so I do apologise. Now, enemy Bogatry now opening fire on him. Taking a look at the map, looks like the enemy's team is making a resounding push to the north. Enemy V25 spotted as the friendly Gisano gives you a gently tap on the stern to get you moving. Talking about the friendly team, we have a Wakataki in the division with a V25, a Smith, an Iaslav, a Teneru, a Kuma, a Gisano, a Dene, and obviously YT Brandon in his Kaiser. She's coming around, yep, switching to high explosive. Now this V25 is going to be quite interesting because she does have those two single forward facing torpedo launchers, and then she's got a couple of launchers mounted midships which can actually fire to either side. So it's interesting to see what she's doing. Doesn't look like she's necessarily firing on you, so expect torpedoes in the water. Friendly Gisano is doing a bit of a body block. Now this is where it's a bit of a shame that the Italian cruisers don't actually come with sonar consumables, so if there are fish in the water we're not going to know until they're about a kilometre or so away. Nearly mopped her off, maybe your secondaries, no, main batteries managed to finish her off. However, no fish in the water from her, which is most peculiar. Secondary is now opening up on the Campbelltown on the other side, and this is where we see the incredibly painful turret traverse of the Kaiser. It's almost the ship can actually outturn the turrets. Dodging the volley of torpedoes coming from the Campbelltown, expect that's from her port side, hence she swung around to her starboard side. The engines are knocked out, but we might be able to, yeah, we're clear. That's both launchers from the Campbelltown all sorted. And so it's simply a matter of finishing your meal. Now here we're seeing some of the disadvantages, again, not just with the turret traverse speed, but also the turret arrangement of the Kaiser, only being able to bring one turret to bear when facing directly towards the enemy. Does mean that you have to angle yourself in order to bring a second turret on, such as P or Q turret, which are mounted in the wings, with X and Y turret being super firing at the rear. Now it's interesting that the Kaiser, or the Kaiser class of these dreadnought battleships, these were the obviously the third design being built. However, they were the first design that actually featured super firing turrets, X and Y at the rear there, and also the first to feature turbine engines. So that just leaves the two cruisers on this flank, which was the Kuma and the Bogatry, I do believe. However, looking at the minimap, the enemy Izuchi, I believe, is making a resounding push towards your base. So, considering she's the only heavy unit on the enemy team, and you're the only heavy unit on your team, it's potential that you're going to have to be the one that's going to have to deal with her. Although this Kuma is making a very tempting target, we do have armor piercing loaded, so maybe it's time to punish one of those broadside cruisers. Firing A and the P turret. Let's see if we can get X and Y on. There we go. Continuing to talk about the turret arrangement of the Kaiser, P and Q turret are mounted amidships, as in between the two funnels, but also in the wings. Now, the reason for this is basically back for those kind of engagements to World War One. You would simply line your ships up against the enemy's line of ships and slug shells at each other into their broadsides. So, by having this kind of turret arrangement, rather than having one turret mounted on the centre line, by having the two wing turrets and able to traverse across the boat deck, you can actually have a total broadside of 10 guns from those 5 turrets. So it's quite interesting in that respective. However, when it comes to the joys of the game mechanics, usually you'll find that you're never going to be using your 5th turret, simply because it puts you at too much of an exposed position in order to bring it online. So it almost, it's a bit of a waste, but there's not much we can do about it, unfortunately. Now, the Kaiser class battleships were equipped with 12-inch guns, so they're not the greatest for the tier, considering the Orion having 13.5-inch guns. However, the Azuchi, she is a Japanese battle cruiser, I guess you could say. She's got a decent amount of speed, not an amazing amount of armour. So potentially we can take advantage of her here. Using one of those heals to try and get a bit more HP back up. And she's focused on contesting the base. Her turrets are still traversing around to you, so at the moment you do seem to have the slight advantage here, keeping yourself nicely angled against her too. And she's firing. Looks like she's firing HE. One fire. That's going all years damage control. Maybe not the wisest, but we'll see. We'll see. Taking advantage of her showing a bit of leg there, so slapping some AP into the upper armor belt. But obviously the joys of German dispersion. She's got another fire on you, and unfortunately that one is going to be sticking. Still knocking her about a little bit, but not able to get a killer blow. Thankfully, these secondaries are kicking in and using your final enhanced secondary targeting. She's now got a second fire on you, potentially from her. I think no, that might be from her main battery, but potentially could be from the secondaries as well. Oh, she's so weak now. But in order to bring that 5th turret online, you're going to have to really show her a lot of broadside. And at this range, if she's taken that opportunity to load armor piercing, then that could be a very painful experience. Looks like she's stuck with high explosives. However, we can always be wise after the moment. Aiming for just slightly. There we go. Nice, nice, nice. Well, the fire's only going to burn for about 20 seconds, but in about 8 seconds you're going to have a damage control party, so it's not all that bad. Using your last, well, not your last heal, you've still got 2 more heals after this. So it looks like you're dealing with an enemy destroyer. Clemson, okay. Well, with a Clemson, she's going to have to be seen before she can actually get torpedoes out on you, so I'd be very tempted to switch to high explosive ammunition now. Reason being is you know you're going to be having to engage that Clemson. There's no way you're going to be getting engaged by that boggitry anytime soon. There we go. Unfortunately, with the loss of your Jusano, you are well out of points, unfortunately. And something I haven't drawn your attention to was before the boggitry did sink the friendly Jusano, the teams were practically neck and neck with only 2 or 3 points between them. So with the loss of the boggitry and now the Clemson contesting the base, there's no way that even if he does kill the Clemson, that Brandon can actually pull a win out of the bag on this one. He's going to have to kill the entire enemy team. There she is. I'd hold your fire though. Wait for her to come. You did slap her about a bit, but I would have been very tempted to hold on. When it comes to a destroyer rushing you at point blank range, I like to hold on until they commit, which would be now, and then they show you the biggest target for you to slap a load of high explosives in. However, you know she's going to be getting torpedoes out now, so a little bit of faffing around with the accelerator to just change your course and change your speed. You know those torpedoes are going to be short range, so hold fire, hold. Yeah, fair enough. There's those torpedoes which were launched from her port side, and I don't think she would have got her torpedoes away from her starboard side. However, got ourselves a Kraken, but you can see that we are about 30 points behind the enemy team. So while we wait and see if the enemy boggatry is going to play the smart decision and just win and run away, or whether he's going to try and win hard. Now, boggatry, she's an armoured cruiser. She doesn't come with any torpedoes, so probably not the best cruiser to go charging in, but we'll wait and see. While we're waiting, Brandon has taken Aiming Systems Module 1. Obviously, Tier 3 is only having the one module to take. When it comes to the commander, he is using Auto Cillax, level 11, Legendary 1. Skills taken are Brawler, Porcupine on second thought, Master Mechanic, and Will to Rebuild. Now, the trick with on second thought is to wait for your guns to be completely reloaded, all of them, before you then switch ammunition type, and then that way it does reload all the guns. If one of your guns is still partially through reloading or something, then that change of ammunition type is going to activate an entire reload for all your guns. When it comes to the inspirations, he's using Franz von Hipper and Andrew Cunningham, both of which are at level 11. So again, you're stacking on those abilities regarding secondaries and range of those secondaries. And it's interesting to see that you've decided to go for Andrew Cunningham in order to try and rein in some of that dispersion or accuracy that the German battleships do suffer with. Now, when it comes to the Kaiser class, there were 5 which were completed. These were built between 1909 and 1913 and commissioned between 1912 and 1919. However, at the end of the war, they were all interned to the British Navy at their Scapa Flow, where they were then scuttled by their German crews in order to prevent their use by the Royal Navy. Bogtree now showing her hand. HE just doing a little bit, getting a Confederate on her. But as you can see, you switched to AP straight after that. Now, potentially, you could have actually switched your ammunition type as soon as you saw her, because you do have that on second thought. So yeah, all the ships were scuttled, and they were then eventually raised and broken up for scrap between 1929 and 1937. There you go, AP now yielding a lot more better results. That Boggatry is down to barely any HP. So let's see what your secondary range is like. We're 5.3, 5.2, 5.1. There we go, secondaries are opening up. So probably about 5.1, 5.2, and then you have to account for they're closing on you and you're closing on them, and it takes some time for your secondaries in order to wind up. And I think now you're just playing with your meal and letting your secondaries go for it. You know she hasn't got torpedoes. I think you're just showing off. Well, getting yourself close quarters and fireproof. Let's go to that end screen and see how we did. So it's nice to see that you've managed to get 149,000 credits, 85,000 damage, getting yourself fireproof, Confederate, close quarters, high caliber, Kraken unleashed, 4 citadels, 6 kills, only 35 of those secondary main battery hits. Well, let's go on to the team screen. And obviously coming in top of your team with those 6 kills, earning about 700 ship XP over the next best player on your team, which is fair enough. The Bogtree on the enemy team did quite well coming in top, but unfortunately, yeah, I think he managed to pull that one out of the bag. I think if he just turned around, went the other way, he could have very easily won that on points alone. Going on to the economy screen, as obviously we've already stated how many credits he's managed to earn in total. However, that doesn't account for ship service cost, which is 13,000. So when you take that away, he's only able to walk away with 135,000 credits. Again, that's not the end of the world. It's a nice little potential credit boost along the way, which is all fair enough. Well, all in all, it's been quite an enjoyable submission from Brandon and much appreciated. If you do want to send in any of your own game captures, then our email address is down in the description, and also a link to Patreon if you want to support the channel on Patreon. Also down there is the commander build and the ship modules used by Brandon. And he has got a message. He would say he'd like to thank Back to the Port for having him once again, and he'd also like to say thank you to everyone for watching. Well, until next time, I'm the Gareth Major, and back to the port.
Hey, hey, clear the way, here comes the galloping major. Bumpity, 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 bump. Get out of the way there, you fellows, unless you want me to run you down.